figure in the old Egyptian world, administering as pharaoh during the 18th tradition. In spite of the cultural standards of the time that necessary male rulers, Sovereign Hatshepsut opposed custom and rose the high position, becoming quite possibly of the best and powerful pharaoh in Egyptian history. Known for her vital political choices, aggressive structure projects, and luxurious burial place, she passed on an enduring inheritance that keeps on charming history specialists and archaeologists right up to the present day. All through her rule, Sovereign Hatshepsut solidified her power and extended Egypt's impact through exchange and discretion, driving the realm into a brilliant time of success. Her reign was set apart by surprising advances in workmanship, design, and culture, procuring her a standing as a shrewd and skilled pioneer. In spite of endeavors to delete her inheritance after her demise, her story has endured everyday hardship, remaining as a demonstration of the getting through strength and force of ladies in Old Egypt. Who was Sovereign Hatshepsut? An unmistakable Egyptian sovereign of the 18th tradition, she went before Thutmose III on the privileged position after Thutmose II. After the passing of her significant other, Lord Thutmose II, she took on the place of leader of Egypt. Sovereign Hatshepsut kicked the bucket in Deir el-Bahari. After the demise of her significant other, Lord Thutmose II, she coordinated an exchange campaign to the place that is known for Deir el-Bahari to advance exchange and financial success. To pay tribute to the god Ammonius, the Deir el-Bahari sanctuary was one of a few sanctuaries charged to improve the Karnak sanctuary. History of Hatshepsut. Hatshepsut, an extraordinary leader of Old Egypt during the 18th tradition, managed from 1479 to 1458 BC. She was known for a productive rule set apart by peacefulness, riches, and progress in many fields. Conceived the little girl of ruler Ahmose I, she wedded her relative Thutmose II. After the demise of her better half, Thutmose II, Hatshepsut became co-ruler with her nephew, Thutmose III, before at last taking command as the successful head of Egypt. Her rule was set apart by numerous accomplishments, most quite fruitful exchange missions to the place that is known for dropkick. Building numerous sanctuaries, the most well-known of which is the sanctuary of Deir el-Bahari. Interest in expressions and writing, and science and information prospered during her rule. Metropolitan extension, and numerous castles and offices were constructed. Hatshepsut passed on in 1458 BC, and was covered in a mysterious burial chamber in the Valley of the Rulers. Thutmose III attempted to eradicate her from history after her passing, however her accomplishments stayed undying. Hatshepsut is a motivation to numerous right up to the present day, and her story is an image of desire and accomplishment. Sovereign Hatshepsut and her works. The rule of Sovereign Hatshepsut is viewed as a time of extravagance and military power, as she completed numerous beneficent works, including reusing the streams that interface the Red Ocean Delta to the Nile, building numerous offices in the Karnak sanctuary, and furthermore settled a sanctuary for herself in Deir el-Bahari in Luxor, assembling enormous ships and utilizing them to move inside pillars to laud the god Ammonius. Expanding interest for different amusement materials, for example, fragrances, flavors, plants, calfskin, and tropical trees. Sending an enormous armada to the Atlantic Sea to import intriguing fish. Sending out gifts, cloth, and draperies to Somalia and southern Yemen. Building 2 huge pillars of containers to pay tribute to the god Ammonius. Sovereign Hatshepsut, circa 1473 to 1458 BC, constructed a superb sanctuary in Deir el-Bahari on the west bank of Luxor, inverse the Karnak sanctuary, the principal safe haven of Ammonius on the east bank. The sanctuary of Hatshepsut was brought in antiquated Egyptian, Gesu-Jesro, meaning the heavenly of holies, and was planned by Senmet, who held many titles, including the overseer of the property of Ammonius. The sanctuary comprises of 3 levels, every one of which has a line of sections at its end. On the upper level, there is an open patio behind the line of segments, went before by sculptures of Hatshepsut as Osiris, the Lord of the Dead. The sanctuary was devoted to her, yet in addition included parts committed to her dad, Lord Thutmose I, the goddess Hathor, and the god Anubis. An open sanctum was additionally committed to the sun god Are-Horikti, as indicated by the service of the travel industry and relics. There is likewise an extraordinary spot devoted to Ammonius, and toward the finish of the upper yard, on the fundamental hub of the sanctuary, an entry was cut into the mountain that closures with the Heavenly of Holies. The walls of the sanctuary are covered with scenes addressing sanctuary ceremonies, strict festivals, and the exchange of pillars from the quarries to the Karnak sanctuary. Maybe the most particular scene is the one on the focal patio, which portrays Hatshepsut's excursion to the place that is known for dropkick, presumably situated close to introduced Deir, where its occupants, houses and general climate are portrayed, as well as the wealth and extraordinary creatures that the Egyptians carried with them from that point. On the opposite side, it portrays how Hatshepsut turned into the legitimate ruler of the country, not just by affirming her dad Thutmose I's arrangement of her as his legitimate successor, yet in addition that her dad was the god Ammonius himself. Sovereign Hatshepsut, little girl of ruler Thutmose I, is perhaps of the most renowned figure in old Egyptian history. Hitched to her stepbrother Thutmose II, Hatshepsut became official of Egypt and the true leader of the nation, administering for a considerable length of time for the benefit of her stepson Thutmose III, who was a little fellow when he rose the privileged position. Custom in Old Egypt kept a lady from becoming lord, however Hatshepsut stated that she was the little girl of a ruler and the spouse of another, and that she was of unadulterated imperial blood, and immediately proclaimed herself lord. Sovereign Hatshepsut's mummy was tracked down in 1903 in the burial place, KV 60, in the Valley of the Lords in Luxor. As was standard for new realm lords, Hatshepsut additionally added to the development of Karnak by making the 8th arch at Karnak. Hatshepsut likewise constructed a sanctuary for the goddess Pakhet in Beni Hassan in Minya, and one more sanctuary for Hathor. From the texts of these two sanctuaries, Hatshepsut lets us know that she made numerous reclamations and fixes to numerous Egyptian sanctuaries, like these two, because of the harm they supported during the Hyksos rule of Egypt, which shows the interest with which the leaders of Egypt kept on flaunting about ousting the Hyksos even after their ejection from Egypt for quite a long time. Yet, the main landmarks of Hatshepsut are her well-known funerary sanctuary in Deir el-Bahari, which is viewed as one of her most undying works with its remarkable plan and brilliant etchings. Among the other significant occasions we discussed are the landmarks of Sovereign Hatshepsut, sending a harmony mission to channel el-Maghara in Sinai, and opening the turquoise mines in Sinai. She sent 2 military missions to Nubia, the first toward the start of her rule, and the second against the defiance in Nubia in the year 20, drove by Thutmose III. Thutmose III likewise driven a third mission to Palestine and Syria, in which he caught Gaza. Egypt lived during the reign of Sovereign Hatshepsut in one of the most radiant times of Egyptian human advancement for a long time and 9 months, as referenced in Manetho's set of experiences. She controlled Egypt encompassed by magnificence and loaded up with brilliance, and Egypt delighted in the works, security, and solid global relations, deifying her name among the best leaders of the world. Concerning Hatshepsut's passing, it is at this point unclear to us and has not yet been uncovered by the found artifacts, but rather she was covered in her burial chamber in the Valley of the Lords, then moved to the burial chamber of her wet medical caretaker, burial chamber 60, in the Valley of the Rulers.